Yeah. It's 1 minute past, so I think we can get started. Oh, there's Steve. But we can get started. The share doc is in the invite. So if you're looking at that and have access, please add yourself, and I'll try to add as we go. Um, um, okay. I think we compiled a list of things that we already know and have been talking about in the last 2 weeks or week and a half. And Steve Taylor actually helped us put this together. So let's go through some of these, and maybe a few people here have updates. Hey, people who joined just now, can you please add your names to the list of attendees? The link for the doc is in the invite. So anyway, so let's get started.
Just a heads up, Lori and I were on the wrong meeting. There were 2 meeting invites.
There are still 2 meeting invites?
Yeah, there are 2 Zoom links on the meeting.
Oh, I fixed it. Okay.
Elliot, I wonder if we should just delete it and then re-add it to the calendar, because if it was just us, we're that special.
Okay, that is an action item on me to fix it after this.
I did what I did last week, just followed the link in the invite. And last week I ended up with Lori on the other meeting, but this week I ended up with you on this one.
Yeah, because I went and changed the links that I could all change to make it consistent, or just the one link. I don't know why it added the second one. Okay, so starting with the website, I think we have some work going on, but there is one question that was open, and basically we wrote a draft blog, and that just got published. So we are working on a process to make sure we can publish or we can push draft blogs, but have a review around it so that we publish blogs when they're ready. Have you talked about it? Anything more than this, Baruch or Laurie or anyone else?
So the way that we worked with the Conan team is that somebody would draft a blog in a Google Doc, and then I would go in and do a write request, would have a content writer review it, and then they would make their edits. Somebody would accept, they would put it in markdown language, and then go.
Okay, Google Doc, get it. Reviewed by content editors and publish. Right, so that is a suggestion, works for Conan team. And I think given that the content editors will not be using GitHub or whatever, it might be better in the Google Doc, right? So that they can just look at the content, and then we can figure out the formatting and all those things.
Cool.
Yeah. So currently the blog is on a Hugo server with a doxy template, but we are doing a design. So this might change, right?
Yeah. So if you want, I can give you an update on the website. Yeah. Sure. So Stephen, Chris, myself met with our web team, and Chris happily raised his hand and said he was going to give the entire website a once over in terms of sharpening it to make it more attractive to contributors and to people that want to that are interested in OSS projects. So that's really cool. So we have a series of deadlines set up. Okay. So February 15th is our hard stop for any content design or content changes and copy. And then hopefully February 21st, we'll have the new design. And then we're hoping to get it into development the minute we have the design. And that will determine, the design will kind of determine which template is used moving forward. And Chris had some recommendations that he shared with our web team in terms of look and feel and usability. So so we're good on that front. Chris is the man in terms of this piece.
So I'll just put this here, and then we'll talk about it again as we get closer to the date, right? Because once we have a design, then we know the development process and whatnot.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So I think there is a doc here for people to contribute and if you wanted to add things, how you can work with. I think this was triggered by people like Baruch joining and asking questions. So thank you. So now we have a doc, which makes it easier for people to start writing stuff. And is this so? This is all what you mentioned, right, Laurie? This is basically the gist of the design work and change in website that you're doing. I think Steve Taylor already summarized it.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, no published blogs yet. So the action item is finish the draft blog and get it through the process. Publish. Mark these action items in bold. Okay. New look and feel and updates, the same thing. Yeah, I think this was from the last meeting where we had a call out and Mark raised his hand. Are there other people who want to talk or have forums or suggestions? Yeah.
Absolutely. Sign me up. I think more like thought leadership about, the problem and possible solutions and this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Still more high level than the technical stuff for now.
Yeah.
And I spoke with Ari today, and when we have the on-site in a couple weeks, I told him we'd bring him in, and hopefully by that point we'll have some ideas. Baruch, maybe you have like a title and an abstract or whatever, so we can kind of.
Yeah. I need to come up with that. Absolutely. Because it's about time we start submitting it. So I'll probably do it next week, and I have some ideas and just need to formalize it into a nice abstract. And then we'll be able to like go ahead and really rock with it.
Cool.
Yeah.
And I think that should align with when the website hopefully goes live.
Yeah.
Like we should try to make sure that when we start really promoting Pyrsia, the website is at a place where we want people to see it. So like March. Are you cool for March?
Yeah, it will be less promotion of Pyrsia as a solution. It will be more like groundwork for like people start thinking about the problem and then the solution will come.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No. Yeah. I think that motivation is important. Yeah. Because then people start tuning in. So also I made a call out in one of the stand-ups, but I think it bears repeating. So I have been getting a number of CFPs from here and there, and looks like even though the conference is in the Q3, the CFPs come out now. So now is your time to line up talks for the rest of the year. So look out for things that you want to speak at and start submitting. Submitting the abstract is the first step. And based on at least my experience, you submit 5 and you get accepted to 1. So submit like 20 if you wanted to go to 3 or 4 conferences.
Right.
Do we need? Okay, yes, this we haven't done before. So I think this is open for discussion. Stack Overflow. We haven't engaged in that community yet.
So for Stack Overflow, it's very down to earth, right? It's very specific questions that require very specific answers, and it cannot be product promotion. Mm-hmm. So what it means that we cannot go now find all the questions that have something to do with the topic and say, hey, take a look at Pyrsia. That will be accepted very poorly. Once we have the product and people start using it and ask questions about that, this is where Stack Overflow engagement will become very, very important. What we can do, what we can think about, but that's again needs to be something very after like the official launch and everything, is sponsoring tags on Stack Overflow. So when people ask questions about specific topics, they will see it as an advertisement. But that's all a little bit later on. There is no like action items right now.
I can add to this a little bit as well too. So if we want to do this organically, then we can, once there's an actual product and somebody actually starts asking questions, they will naturally tag it but we have to let that grow organically unless we want to do that sponsorship. But at that point, we can actually start subscribing to tags. And that way, whenever somebody posts a question with that tag, we'll get notified right away. It's actually one of the main ways that the Docker team actually gets notified of questions. They have their own tag and they listen very closely to it.
Yeah. My question is, we know how to do this, right? When we get to that stage, we have done this before for JFrog products and other open source offerings. So when we get to this time, when we have an MVP ready, we can start engaging with that community and figure out, what makes sense to discuss and what kind of questions people have once people actually start using it. Okay, so I think this is Google Summer of Code. So this organization setup is needed. I think Steve Taylor has been championing this cause. So there is room for us to engage and I think sponsor people to work with us. Laurie, have we done this before anywhere else?
No, and it looks like we can start submitting an application starting February 7th. And I can look and outline what's needed, but do we have the resources on the team to be admins? And also, I think you don't have to be a mentor, but you have to be something else. There was like a couple of levels of participation that's needed from an organization. So I'll look it up and I'll shoot it over in the Slack.
Yeah.
And then y'all can thumbs up or thumbs down if we have the bandwidth to participate.
Yeah, I think that would be good research help for us because I have no idea what is expected and how much time commitment is and how we benefit or how the project benefits. So if you're able to find that out, then that'd be great. Okay. Call for papers. I submitted to one. I think it is called Blue Team Con, which is a security conference. So this one is happening in August, but their CFP closed like 3 days ago or whatever. So I immediately submitted something. So if there are others, please add to this list. Either you are thinking of, either or you want to or have submitted. Okay, then Stephen Chin, this is for.
Excuse me. Have you already submitted to the other three, or are those?
I haven't submitted to this one. I think Supply Chain Con is the same one that we submitted to, which is the Cloud Native Con or something. This is co-located with some other Linux Foundation event.
Yeah, I don't want to be competing with somebody else's submission.
I don't think that is an issue, Mark. Meaning, I think if you produce an abstract that is of interest to you, go ahead and submit.
Yeah,
It's
so
okay.
there should be a link, and there isn't. I'll add a link to the doc where I'm trying to track all of the abstracts that we have, because it'll be good to see what people are talking about. And to Surendra's point, like, you might have an area of expertise that is different than like just a general submission versus Baruch's high level thought leadership submission. So the more the merrier, right? Give the content team something to look at.
Yeah, don't worry about competing there. I think it's whatever. If your content is more appealing, so wait.
Did you submit all these already, Baruch?
I think I submitted here and here for sure, and then I'll look for. I submitted to 3 or 4. Baruch, I don't know if you submitted.
No, not yet. We need to come up with a title and the abstract first, and then I'll submit.
Okay. This was an open question, Stephen Chin. Do we have an update, or are we still?
Yeah, so I brought it up at the last TOC call.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, not the TOC call. It was an email thread with Brian. Basically, what he said was, for us to get trademark support from Linux Foundation, we need to be a incubating project or have some like official status.
Mm-hmm.
Which means the TOC, the TAC, the Technical Advisor Committee, needs to actually give us a path to becoming an official project, which we brought up at the last TAC call, and they sent somebody off to go think about it. So that's the short summary.
Yeah.
Probably we should bring it up again and see if we have an update on the next
Yeah.
TAC call, which I think is
Next week.
next week.
Yeah, next week. Yeah. I'll take this so that at least I'll remind, and then we'll go from there. YouTube and Pyrsia calendar. Yes, so the channel is up. I think we use that or showcase that in one of our stand-ups. We are using this one instead of the instead of the OpenSSF because it's easier to update. There is an automation. Each of these meetings goes and sits there. There is still some manual work that Steve Taylor does, and I'm working with him to get that listed down so that we don't have to wait on a single person to have the videos edited or formatted in the right way. Yeah, and this is just FYI. This is a calendar if you wanted to look at events. This is the Google group if you wanted to sign up.
Time out, Sudhindra, since you brought up Google, it made me think like I need to get Google Analytics code from the main Pyrsia Gmail account. Do you know how to do that, or would you like me to do it?
I will hand over the Gmail account credentials to you, please.
Okay.
Yeah, I will give you that. I think they are in our LastPass shared, so I can share it. No problem.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So has a meeting link, but should not have Pyrsia Google Group as an invitee. So basically, when we were trying to get more people to attend, we actually got people from Jennifer from OpenSSF to help us schedule it so that people can find our invites better. So that's where the whole two Zoom meetings situation happened. And I think we have fixed most of it, but it looks like there's one more place that I need to fix, and I'll go fix that. But basically, the idea was to broadcast it so that people who are not aware of Pyrsia team as well can see it and attend it. Yeah, so this is the process Steve Taylor is using. He's currently downloading and doing a quick cleanup. But we need to automate this or write this down. So. Level okay. Okay, we need to add, I think this is an action item that Steve Taylor had for me. We need to add the daily stand-up to the OpenSSF calendar, and we have previously asked Jennifer to add it for us, but my question was going to be, should we keep the stand-up here and sort of broadcast it on Slack? I just don't want us to bombard this OpenSSF calendar and be noisy. And I think we have like 3 meetings related to Pyrsia on the OpenSSF calendar. So people already who want to attend can join us in that way and then can find the other calendar invite. Any opinions? Okay, no, I think I want to keep a balance between being seen and being too much.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's too much to add it to the OpenSSF calendar.
Yeah. Okay.
While you're typing, I have a question,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure if this was addressed somewhere else. And again, I've not worked on an open source project, but what's the onboarding like? So if we get a new contributor, is there like an onboarding process? Because I know you have all these meetings and stand-ups and things like that, but if I'm completely new, like what exactly is there an onboarding process? Do we set up a 10-minute chit chat, via Zoom? Outsider looking in, okay, there's meetings, there's stand-ups, it's this project I've looked, but like what?
Yeah, I'll take that. So we don't have one, and that's why we need to work on this. So the
Okay.
way we have been trying to onboard and engage is as we see people outside of the already working team join, we encourage them to look at our properties, or GitHub, etc., and see if that makes sense, and just encourage discussion first, so that we don't rush them into the onboarding. And that's where we are. But this is lacking. We don't have a good onboarding process or a good onboarding flow. I think whatever you guys showed this, like this is I think where we are starting. This is like, okay, somebody wants to set up or add to documentation. There is something. There is similar things in the not the Ask the Expert, sorry. There is similar start of things in here. Things you should know, etc. But we don't have a good onboarding flow. So if somebody new comes here and says, okay, what do I do next? We don't have a flow which tells them that, oh, sign up for the Google Groups. We don't have that. I think that is something to be worked on.
Chris, do you think that you and I can work on this since you're doing the web stuff, and we can combine efforts?
Absolutely. So what Suhindra was talking about was mostly like our outreach to other companies. But as the project grows, this morning we're 336 on the Rust trending projects. So there's not a lot of Rust projects, and there's a lot of us working on Pyrsia. So we're actually trending fairly decently on GitHub. And once we start doing promotion efforts, we are going to be getting more contributors on our GitHub. And we also need to be thinking about how do random people on the internet who see our project, who want to try it, how do they contribute back to us? And how do we make them feel included and represented in their work? So there's a lot of things we can do there.
Cool. So let's kind of get an idea of some of what you've just said, and then can we add this to the agenda for the onsite so we can all have a good discussion?
Yes. Yep. I'll add it to that.
Chris, you're gonna be my new BFF. Sorry.
Okay. Anything that that the good man Steve Taylor did not put in the general discussion and we have missed? Okay. Hey, Laurie, we do have other properties that we discussed some time ago, but then I dropped the ball on that because we were working on the website. So we started with a Twitter account. We do have a Twitter account, but we haven't yet started doing things on it. And the other place that we were discussing, but we didn't take any concrete action at the time, was a LinkedIn org for Pyrsia. And I started doing that, but then I was sick, so I stopped that.
Yeah, so I think the only thing kind of not making me want to use the Twitter account yet is I want to get the branding kind of done and the description done and all of that done. So my goal is to have that consistent with the website copy. So February 15th. So we have a nice little succinct, however many character description for Twitter. We know what the background's going to look like, even if it's just the computer screens. Same thing with the YouTube. And then, Steve, are you cool with having like a LinkedIn sort of company profile, or no?
It should be fine. Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Just an open SSL, oh, sorry, OSS, like open source team profile. Yeah.
Okay.
Usually for when you post anything on LinkedIn and say, oh, I'm working on this thing, there is a place for them to click at. And then the minimum it can do is take it to the website, and that's it.
Cool. No, I get it. And I think it's just about making sure that when we really start pushing this out, that we look ready. Okay.
No, that makes sense. Okay, then there is nothing else in the list to be discussed. We can adjourn early.
Sweet.
All right. See you guys. Bye.
Have a good weekend, everyone.